that should kick it off.
There we
I'm
go.
just going
Live,
live.
3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. It looks like Lucian is here.
Yeah, I think he said he was going to try and make an appearance. Hey, Lucian.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm not as prepared as I normally am. I'm going to try and get this up on my other screen so that I can see the comments as they happen. Oh, here we go.
I'm getting an echo, and I don't know why.
I'm not getting one. Is it me that's echoing on your end, or is it you?
Both of us.
Oops. Right. Right. Sorted. I've got the chat on my other screen as well now.
Hi, Lucian. Hi, B. Opal Owl.
Hi, Lucian. Hi, Akil Sunflower, and hello, Opal Owl. How is everybody doing?
Okay, now, yeah, something's wrong because I'm getting both you and me echoing.
Oh dear. I wonder if Robin, what have you got me playing out of? Like, what have you got the sound coming from? Is it your actual computer? Because if it's coming from your computer, then the sound might be going in through your
The sound coming
microphone.
out of my computer is coming into my headphones.
Right, okay, so it's not coming out of anything else then?
And the input of the mic is from my computer, so there should just be one mic and one earpiece, but...
Yeah. I'm not sure then. Opal's just finished drying her hair. Lovely.
There's a delay, so I can hear myself live, but then I hear it recorded about 10 to 15 seconds later.
You don't have it playing on YouTube or anything like that, do you? Like you don't have it on in another window?
That's a possibility. Yeah, wait a second.
God, if we're relying on me to sort the technical issues, Robin, then we're struggling indeed.
You had it. I had another window open with YouTube, so that I was hearing that. That was the problem. Now am I going to get all the chat in the StreamYard chat that I would normally also get in the YouTube chat?
You will, but my understanding is it might be a wee bit delayed. I'm not really sure, because I have it on StreamYard and I also have it, the actual YouTube chat popped out on my other screen, so I can kind of compare the two. Yeah, there, Lucian's saying it delays.
I mean, I could put the YouTube one open and just mute that sound, but I don't know if there's any point in having that open. I'm just going to let you keep an eye on it, I guess.
Okay.
So I can see the StreamYard chat, so I think we're good.
Cool.
Wait a minute. Lucian says accepted delays. Are you hearing a delay, Lucian?
No, you're talking about the chat, Robin. So the chat delays what I was just saying.
Okay.
So yeah, no, that's fine. Hi Ben, how you doing?
Okay, we're after 1. So, I mean, 1 minute after the hour. So it's still early, but I want to make sure I say hello to Lucian B, Opal Owl, Mendy, and is there anybody else, or is that Beecham? And I think that's it so far. So I just want to let everybody know this is a new thing. If you couldn't tell already, I never did StreamYard before. And everybody give a rousing applause and welcome to my special guest, Chris Kelly, who's agreed to help me out today. So I have no idea what we're going to do. This is just, we're going to have some fun, I hope. it's still only 2 minutes after, so people probably will be straggling in. I had no idea that Shane and Elle were going to do a live today.
They do it live every Monday. They actually normally do it at 9, but they did it at 8 today instead. Well, I'm talking my time, so 9 my time, I guess, and 4 your time, but they did it 3 your time instead today. So that was quite lucky that we're not quite right on top of them.
Okay. I don't know how they decided on that time. I mean, I've been doing the first Monday of the month at this time since last September. And the only one I missed was last month because I had an issue that I canceled. But yeah, I'd already sort of claimed this spot. Not that, I'm not saying nobody else can do it at the same time, but, it's whatever. I didn't know, actually, I didn't even know they had started their broadcast because I found out they were going to do one when they did Tarothon, but I don't know if the station was set up yet to subscribe, and I hadn't subscribed, so I hadn't gotten any notices. So you're the first one that notified me that they're actually already doing these, so I'll tune in the future, but not the first of the month because that's when I'm here. So let's see what's going on today. Any news on your end today?
News? Oh gosh, put me on the spot. Why don't you? Well,
I got a tarot probably waiting in my mailbox downstairs.
Very good.
I've been a little bit restless for lack of decks in the last week or so, and I went and ordered a couple Marseille decks. Don't ask me why. I've been going in waves with the Marseille decks. And I have this Lo Scarabeo one that I sort of like with sort of a marbleized background. I think it's called the Universal Marseille or something. But it's the old Lo Scarabeo style that has multiple languages on it, and I don't like that.
Right, okay.
So I saw they had one that had like gold foil stamping that doesn't have multiple languages, and it was cheap, and I thought, I'm going to go ahead and order that. Right, so I ordered that, and that should be in my mailbox today. And I also, like say Mendy's here, right? Yeah. I also just ordered from this guy in France, Joe99, has this tarot deck that Mendy showed a couple days ago that I really liked a lot. It's sort of a modern color, almost cartoony sort of version of the Marseille, but beautiful coloring. And I had a real hard time ordering it because his PayPal account is down, and he wanted me to route payment directly through his bank, and I couldn't do it on Saturday because the bank was closed for the 4th of July. And so I was on the phone this morning with my bank trying to figure out how to do a bank transfer, but he got it. It should be on the way, and so that's tarot news on my front. I'm still waiting on a couple things from Russia to come, and one of them I bought on Etsy. It's been like over 8 weeks, and I said, what's the deal? Do you have tracking? She goes, no, I'll just send you another one. So now I don't know how long I'll have to wait on that one. But
yeah. Oh, that's a shame. I was Ben was talking to me earlier on about the Shimmering Veil Tarot, is it, by Cilla Conway?
Which one?
Ben, you need to correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the Shimmering Veil? But it looks like it's absolutely gorgeous, like the pictures, the images in it. Yeah, I would highly recommend that people go and have a look at it, because just it's like, how would you describe it? It kind of looks like that kind of oil painting type look effect, and just the images are really, really powerful. So yeah, he's tempting me with that. So I keep to and froing about whether I'm going to go and order the Shimmering Veil Tarot. But right now I don't have anything on the way. I'm being good.
I'm kind of waffling on the Cilla Conway one. I like it, but I have her intuitive tarot that she took like 40 years to do or something, and the style is very different. And it's much more impressionistic now in a way, and more spiritual or something than it was then. And I'm just not sure if the new one is as easy for me to read. It looks more, definitely more spiritual, but it's just the images aren't quite as action oriented or descriptive in terms of what people are doing. Shimmering Veil, yeah. But yeah, her decks are really nice. I'm assuming it's the same cardstock. Oh, hey, Masha.
Hi, Masha. Hi, Artistry of Tarot. And anyone else that we haven't said hi to directly. Hello.
I thought I'd drag out the other Siliconway one to show you. This is the intuitive. Whoops. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Right,
that was the first painting she did that inspired the rest of the deck.
Right.
And it comes in that same kind of rose petal box that's got a hinged top on it, and the same kind of inside thumbnails.
Yeah. Those look like massive cards, though.
They are pretty big. Yeah, they're manageable, but they're sort of large. Let me see. Let me grab a card to compare. Oops. I can't find where my camera is.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, they're wider by 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, and about 1/4 of an inch taller. So yeah, they're kind of big.
Yeah.
I first saw these. Brian Cormack Carr did a walkthrough of them, and this is the second edition. The first one I think had white borders, and the second one has these darker borders, which I like better, and black labels. Have you ever seen this deck? I don't know.
No, do you know, I don't think I have. I thought when you said intuitive tarot, I thought I had, but now that you're showing me it, it's not ringing bells, to be honest.
This one has a very kind of sci-fi feel to me. I mean, a lot of the images make me think of sort of like aliens or something. I don't know. There's something really unusual about the figures. Whereas her new one is much more abstract, I guess. Yeah. I mean, this one you can see is much more pictorial. The new one is more kind of impressionistic and cosmic in a way. You can see a lot of sort of universal energy going through it, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
But,
Ben has said that Scylla's co-created a deck which was very realistic in style. It's totally different to our recent decks, but can't remember the name of that deck. So if anyone in the chat actually knows what that deck is called that Ben is talking about, then let us know. See, how do you feel about the fact that you're looking at them all through that kind of oval?
Well, that's her thing. I don't know. I mean, I kind of look at it like a window onto the cosmos, so I've gotten used to it. Initially, I wasn't sure. I thought, well, I don't know if I really need that. But, ooh, we got a storm here. I don't know if you heard that thunder.
Yeah, that.
I hope we don't get blasted off by that. But yeah, I also have the Little Monsters Tarot by Peony Archer, and she also puts her things in egg shapes, which is funny, and they're also oversized cards, about the same size, or maybe even a little larger. Yeah. So, I mean, here you can see, I mean, there's something really weird. These feel to me like people from some other planet or something. It's just very strange.
Right.
But they also have... and it's sort of surreal, but I really, really like them. But yeah, it's just very different from what she's doing now. And also the Devas of Creation, I think, is a little more similar to what she's doing now.
Right, okay. Someone, I got a question. Masha asked if I have a channel. I don't, Masha. I don't have my own channel. You'll often catch me on Crossed Paths, Lucian and Dave's channel. I do readings with them on a Wednesday night, and I've been doing their popcorn parties with them on a Friday. So you can see me on there, but I don't have my own channel.
Oh, the Byzantine Tarot, Beecham says, is the one she co-created.
Oh, okay.
And I'm hoping, Chris, that you do get a channel soon, at some point.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I've no plans to create one at this very moment, but never say never, as they say.
I'm trying to remember whether it was in Lucian and Dave's channel last week when you were talking about things like shuffling cards.
I think that was one of the popcorn parties, yeah.
Yeah,
one of the popcorn parties that we were talking about that.
Intrigued me, and so I wanted to know if you have a deck on hand so I can see, because I think maybe I shuffled them in a really awkward manner. I do overhand shuffling, but everybody else uses their thumb somehow.
Right, okay.
And I don't. I like pull from the back of the
So
deck
you go
to the
backwards
front.
away from your thumb. Yeah, I think Lucian.
I have my fingers on this, but I'm left-handed, so I don't know. It's kind of weird. But I feel like I'm pulling them from the bottom to the top of the deck.
Yeah.
But I guess other people are doing the same thing, but they're just pulling from the top card to the back. I don't know how they're doing.
I think that, Lucian is saying to you that he does it that way as well. So he'll pick up from nearest his thumb and he'll go backwards. But I don't. I do the opposite. So I'm trying to get this. So I'll pick up. So here's my thumb, right?
Yeah.
I'll pick up from the back and I'll shuffle. Oh, for goodness sake. I'll shuffle in towards my thumb. Sometimes I'll use my thumb to grab the cards if I want to pull less cards and get a more of a shuffle like that. I'm not very good at keeping this in front of the camera, but sometimes I'll just shuffle them forwards like that. Does that make sense?
I guess it's sort of the same thing because we're still both bringing cards from the bottom of the deck up to the top or to the front.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody's got their own thing, I guess. But I thought, oh, maybe I'm unique. I'm the only one that does it in this really half-ass backwards way. I don't know.
I mean, it's one of those things that as long as they're getting mixed up, that's the thing, isn't it? You can put them in a box and give it a shake. As long as they're getting mixed up, that's the main thing. I know that people have got different views, and some people are really precious about how their decks are shuffled and stuff. But for me personally, I would rather avoid getting reversals, but it doesn't really bother me if they do get in there. So, put them on the desk and wash them about. That's another kind of.
I thought I saw Simon the other day shuffling in a way where I could see the cards at the back. And I thought, oh, well, that's not good because that will, if you can see what's on the bottom, and you decide when to stop, that card is not going to be in your pick.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. I want to see the back so I don't know what's coming up,
Sometimes I'll do that. See, do you ever shuffle just for the sake of shuffling, not because you're going to sit down and do a reading, but just because you like shuffling cards? See if I'm doing that, then I'll shuffle with the face up so that I can see all the cards going by, because I actually quite enjoy it. I can look at all the pictures, look at all the colours just as they shuffle by. And another thing I do, see if I'm riffling, if I'm doing the riffle shuffle, like the riffle shuffle, I'll do it once face down and one's face up, because I feel as though it's less likely to bow. If you're doing it both ways, you're kind of balancing out the bending. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I get it. I think just maybe just do, if you were doing it face up, I would maybe just be doing the last shuffle face down, so that I've kind of erased all kind of knowledge of where the cards are sitting. But I know what you mean. I've kind of thought that myself before.
That makes sense. And I think we discussed the other night in a chat cutting the deck. Now, you cut your decks before you do your draw?
More often than not, no. Normally, I just shuffle them and then I'll draw the cards. Sometimes, I was right. The way I describe it is when someone shuffles the cards and then they hand them back, that's the cards are in the order that they're supposed to be in for that person. You know, they
Yeah.
tell the story of that person. So if I shuffle the cards and give them to you, then you've got, you know, the story of Chris in your hands. It might be that you don't want to hear the entire story of Chris and you just want to hear about my working life, for example. So I might be thinking, right, okay, well, let's kind of focus on the work life and then let them cut, let them naturally fall, and then they're still in the same kind of order. You've just because it's all a cycle, isn't it? So they're still in the same order essentially, but you've just brought a different kind of section to the top. So that's kind of how, if I was going to cut the cards, that's how I would do it. But in honesty, no. Normally, what I'll do is if somebody's asking a question, I'll think about the question as I'm shuffling, and then I'll just pull cards from the top. So yeah, that's how I would do it.
I just kind of feel, well, I'm not reading for anybody else yet at this point. I can see how it would help to have them kind of imbue their energy in the card cutting. For me, I feel like if I'm shuffling, I don't need to additionally cut the cards too. But I was wondering if you have any other card rituals, because I used to have this one where it's like, it's a stupid kind of superstitious ritual, but a lot of rituals are kind of that way. I used to tap on my deck with my finger 3 times as if to say, Pixie, help me, and it was sort of like to call Pixie's spirit out of the cosmos to guide me through my reading, help me interpret my cards. I don't do that so much anymore, but that was just kind of a thing I do when I do my readings, like to tap on them to call attention to focus on the question or what's going on.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's anything silly about that. Whether you believe that you're actually calling a spirit to help you, or whether that's just a kind of an unconscious trigger for you, or a psychological trigger, whatever you want to call it, I think that there's significance in that. So if that's something that a person likes to do, I mean, you can do whatever. You could be doing a 5-minute interpretive dance before you do the cards. If that's what brings you into that state of mind to be able to then read cards, then who's anyone else to say that it's silly? But personally, no. I mean, you'll often see me shuffling cards just for the sake of shuffling, and that's generally how I'll tend to get myself ready. I don't generally tend to do any. I mean, sometimes I'll light incense, but that's more just because I like the aesthetic of incense. It's not because I feel like I need it, or it does anything from. I feel like it does anything for my readings.
I was going to say, do you
yeah.
light incense and candles? Because a lot of people do that just to set up the atmosphere.
Just to set the atmosphere. More so incense. I've got an incense cone burner, so I have that I'll light, but then it gets really really smoky. Like I've got to open the balcony door, just to let some of the smoke out. So yeah, only every so often, to be honest.
Okay, Opal Owl tends to tap hers 3 times. Beecham taps questions into his deck, which is interesting. What else? Does anybody sometimes feel like they're told to stop shuffling? Sometimes if I close my eyes, that happens. Beecham feels like he's told to stop shuffling. Interesting.
Yeah.
Masha cuts the tarot deck, but not the Lenormand. Interesting. Used to cut twice, now only once. I'm going backwards. I should scroll back and then work up instead of going back.
I've kind of went back a wee bit and I'm reading down so we can meet in the middle. Ben said at one point he's going to grab a deck to shuffle now. What deck is it that you're shuffling, Ben? And Masha. So what deck are you guys kind of shuffling away? And are you doing it face up looking at the images, or are you doing it face down?
Lucian says, I just got a mental image of me tapping the deck and saying in Winifred's voice, "Wake up, sleepyhead, time to read for daddy."
Is that Winifred from Hocus Pocus,
I
or
don't know.
have I missed the boat there?
I thought maybe it was Lucian's alter ego. I don't know who Winifred is.
Lucian, I could imagine you going about with your decks and tapping Dave on the head, or should I say tapping, or should I say whacking? That's what I've got. That's an image that I've got in my head. I wonder if Lucian can confirm or deny that.
So Marcia's shuffling her baby Harry tarot, and Beecham's got a Centennial Borderless Face Up shuffle. Winifred Sanders, says Lucian.
Yeah,
Is that
Winifred Sanderson. That's one of the three witches in Hocus Pocus. Bette Midler plays her. She's absolutely fantastic. So just, Opal Owl said I stopped shuffling when I feel like it. And somebody actually said to me the other day, when do you? It might have been you, Robin, actually, that asked me in the chat. When do you stop shuffling? Do you shuffle a certain number of times? Like,
Yeah.
so what's your feelings on that? Like, do you just feel when you need to stop shuffling, or do you always shuffle times? Or
I used to wait for the feeling, and now I just kind of randomly stop, and because there's a certain amount of randomness in there. But I thought the other day it might be interesting for me to put in a numerological pattern, like shuffle 13 times or something and stop after 13. Or, I don't know. It's still sort of random, but I just kind of wonder if I should ritualize it by only shuffling a certain number of times. Or it's hard to know, like I used to think, oh, is this just accidental when I stop, or is there something motivating me from the cosmos telling me here's where you stop? And I thought, well, if I shuffle for somebody else that's not handling the deck, I would ask them, I would just keep shuffling and say stop when you want me to stop, but I've not done that yet for anybody. So I don't know.
I always feel if you're not sure whether you should stop, then
keep
stop
going.
yourself. And it's kind of like when somebody says, do you want to watch this movie or do you want to watch this movie? Because they're indecisive, and then somebody makes a choice, and then you know that actually what you wanted to watch all along, because you'll be like, oh, I wanted to watch the other one. Do you know what I mean? And then you'll find yourself saying that. So you know what one it was that you subconsciously wanted to watch. It's kind of like that with the cards. So if you feel like you're not sure if you want to stop shuffling, stop. And if you know if you weren't ready to stop, then you'll be like, oh gosh, I need to keep going. Do you know what I mean? Your subconscious will tell you just keep shuffling for a wee bit longer.
Sometimes I'll stop and I'll see further down in the deck a couple cards kind of sticking out a little bit, and I'm feeling like, oh, maybe they were meant to come further up. Maybe I should keep going, or am I at the right stopping point? I'm never quite sure. What's everybody else do? Do you guys know when to stop shuffling your decks? Beecham says, sometimes I can't stop shuffling. I'll then split the deck. Oh, and I really don't like oversized cards. Like I've seen a couple people where the decks are so thick that they have to break them into 2 decks and shuffle each one, and then like recombine them. And that, I don't know, just doesn't feel right to me somehow. But I guess it's done out of necessity.
Yeah,
it's probably why I avoid oversized decks these days.
What's the chat that's got? So Lucian has said, Opal, I literally pictured your face actually on the table with your hands trying to shuffle the deck above your head.
Oh, does anybody
that would be uncomfortable.
Does anybody just do this on a table surface? Just like, well, I guess you'd have a lot of reversals if you just shuffle them around like dominoes on a table. And I don't have the table surface to do that anyway. I'm always afraid. I'm not good at riffle shuffling, but I'm always afraid if I do, I'll damage the cards anyway. And I wonder about people that collect collectible decks that riffle shuffle. Aren't they worried about like bending the cards or messing them up?
I think you know with the card stock whether you can get away with riffle shuffling it or not. Some cards like I can't, if I want to keep this pristine condition, then I shouldn't riffle shuffle it and you maybe just do a hand over and maybe a bit of table washing. But I don't know. Sometimes I think as long as the card stock allows for it, you can get away with riffling.
What
Um,
what
like I
kind of
say, I was
cards? What kind of card
sorry.
stock do you like?
I'll be honest, I don't find myself being a card stock snob.
Uh-huh.
Um, I mean, like this, my favorite deck is the Lightseers, right? And
Hmm.
if I'm honest, the Lightseers, it's a bit thick. It's a lot thicker than a usual deck. So the cardstock's quite thick, and it can be kind of difficult-ish to riffle shuffle. But even at that, it doesn't bother me. It's just that's just the way that deck is. So
Do
yeah,
you
no, I
do you have a preference to riffle versus overhand, or does it depend on the deck?
generally I'll tend to overhand. But
Yeah.
that like when we're doing lives, I'll overhand, but that's because I'm conscious of the noise that the riffle weight makes.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
like I'm conscious enough that if I'm shuffling like that, my microphone's probably picking that up, and you can all hear that. Do you know what I mean? So I'm always trying to like really quietly shuffle the cards.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, no, usually I'll kind of do a mixture. Um, yeah, but what I do when like you might have noticed, and I've probably said it before, if I do readings, I'll pull cards, and then I won't just like gather the cards and stick them all in at the top. I'll like kind of slot them into the deck just in random places. So I feel as though I always keep my deck quite randomized. Um, and that way I know that if I get like the Tower and the Ace of Cups, just for example, in one reading, and then the next reading I get the Tower and the Ace of Cups again, I know that it's not because I've not shuffled right, because I've put them in different places, so I know that they were just meant to come out again. Does that make sense?
Hmm. As far as being a deck snob, there's two things I don't like. I don't like cards that are too thick. I don't
Mm,
like cards that are oversized that I can't fit in my hand or shuffle properly. And I don't like the mat cards that stick in clumps. Like, I want to be able to go like this and they all slip and slide easy.
yeah,
I don't want to do this and then find, oh, there's 5 here and 5 there and 3 there in like little groups and chunks. I don't want my decks to do that.
yeah.
But otherwise, people complain a lot about thin card stock. I don't think I've ever run across a deck where the cards are too thin that it bothers me.
Mm,
But
yeah.
um, Masha Ripple shuffles her decks. And she's not concerned about them looking used or worn out. Well, I wonder if that's why people buy a lot of backup decks, because they are rough with their cards. I also feel like overhand is gentler on the cards and that probably will last longer and be less of a need for a backup deck. I don't know.
I guess. I suppose that's another thing, isn't it? Some people actually like the decks, like Masha's saying there. I think she said she's not too concerned about them looking used and worn out. And I have heard a lot of people on YouTube saying that they like a deck to be loved. Do you know what I mean? So they like
Yeah.
it to be kind of worn a bit. I mean, I guess I'm kind of the same. Like my oldest deck is this one, and it's to be honest, it's a mess, but I like it being that way. But I know that, for example, my Trionfi de la Luna, which is I paid a wee bit for that. I wouldn't really want that getting all worn out. I want to keep that. Sorry, my screen's shaking. I want to keep that quite like keep it in as good condition as I can.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Well,
get that.
it's funny in a way that all these decks are coming out now that are artificially aged. Like Mendy showed one the other day. I had to laugh at it. It was a deck of playing cards that looked like they came out of someone's garage or the attic and were like 100 years old, and they were all stained and brown edged and worn looking, but they weren't. They were
Mm,
brand new, but they
yeah,
had
yeah,
artificial stains put on them to make them look old, and that's just, I mean, sometimes I like when there's kind of a tea stain or an antique looking quality, but just when they look dingy and dirty, and they're artificially made to look dingy and dirty, it just seems really silly to me.
I suppose it's just that aesthetic that some people like and some people don't, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, say I'm kind of, it depends on the deck, to be honest.
Yeah.
Some decks suit it, some maybe don't so much, but it's all personal preference, really.
Oh, is Lucian leaving us? He has an
Yeah,
interview.
Lucian's
Oh, he has a
got a
job interview.
job interview in
Okay.
half an hour, so
Good luck.
yeah, if you're still here, Lucy, good luck. I hope it goes well. And let
Yeah.
us know. Give me a wee message and let me know how it goes.
Tea Queen. Oh, we have somebody new. Tea Queen, welcome. I ruined my first deck riffle shuffling.
Hi, T Queen.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I saw somebody else the other day, and I don't remember the name of the deck, but it was a black deck with like silver on it. I don't know if it was the golden thread or some deck, and they were cleaning them, but with some
Right.
kind of cleaning alcoholic stuff, and the
Oh, right, okay.
ink came off the cards completely.
Oh no.
So they ruined their deck because they were trying to clean the surfaces, but instead of just using a mildly damp cloth, they used one that had like, I don't know, like nail polish remover or something.
Oh,
something
yeah.
crazy
I'm not
like
brave
that.
enough.
And
Baby
it just like
Baby wipes are the thing to use on your cards if you want to. Because I don't know if any of you have got the Robin. Have you got the Marielle Tarot? I had to look at my collection there to remember.
No.
So Marielle, when that first came out in the first edition, it had big borders, and it was oversized, and I don't know, the borders just didn't do it any justice. So the actual Marie White, who made it, she actually posted a blog saying like what she didn't intend for it to have those borders, and that she had trimmed hers just down to the images, and then she had handwritten using, I think she said, a silver pen, what the cards were. So I kind of did the same. I trimmed mine down to just the images, and I hand wrote what the what the titles of the cards, but the pen that I used was like too thick, so it was a like a kind of, I've probably got it here. It was one of the fine tip kind of Sharpies, that one. But writing on the cards, it was just too thick and it was annoying me. So I went through with a baby wipe and I took all the pen off it, and it worked a treat because it took the pen off, but it didn't hurt the images. Baby wipes are great for that, so they are.
Is there any alcohol in those baby wipes?
Well, not the ones that I use, no. Not the ones that I was using. So no, I don't think baby wipes tend to have alcohol in them, do
Probably
they?
not. Yeah.
Any of the parents in the group will probably be able to correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, that's what I would recommend for wiping down your cards.
We have somebody else new say by the name of Tick TV. I don't know. It says, "How long have you guys been into tarot reading?" So I'll let you take that, Chris.
Well, I've been into it for God, probably around 20 years, to be honest with you. I first got into it when my first kind of exposure to the idea of tarot was my mum used to work in a pub, and she used to get tarot reading. They used to do tarot nights, and she would always get her cards read, and she would come home and kind of tell us all about it. And I was always like really kind of gripped by it. I was always dead fascinated. And at one point we said, why don't we kind of go and get a wee tarot deck? So we did. Went into Waterstones, which is a kind of bookshop that we have here. Don't know if you guys have Waterstones. And yeah, bought a tarot deck. So yeah, about 20, just over 20 years. I've been reading. What about you, Robin?
I think when I first left home, I was living in this little touristy town, and there was a head shop in town, and they used to sell things like beaded curtains and blacklight psychedelic band posters and incense and tarot decks and stuff like that. And I think I first was introduced to 2 or 3 decks that there probably only were available 2 or 3 at the time. This would be around 1970 or so. and I think there was the JJ Swiss and the Rider Waite and possibly one other, and that was it. I mean, it was like pretty near the beginning of the modern tarot era. So I think I liked the sort of old-fashioned look of the JJ Swiss, and I got that one, but it's a little bit. Oh, I also got this one, the Grand Atea. But both of those systems were different than I was used to. The pips I couldn't read really. And so I just kind of set those aside. Later on, I got a copy of the Rider Waite. And that one I set aside a number of times because I kept looking at the little white book and being put off by what the book said and figured I probably wasn't reading them right. So about every half a dozen years, I'd pick it up again because I like the images. And I'd open the little book and then think, oh, no, I guess I still don't get it, and put them back on the shelf. And then finally, after 3 or 4 times, I said, I'm just not going to bother with the book anymore. I'm just going to like look at the pictures and see what they say to me. Yeah, Melissa just came in the room. Hey, Melissa.
And hi, Melissa. Just looking at it. So Masha has said, I'm fairly new to tarot. I bought my first 2 decks on the same day in December 2015. So Masha, what were the 2 decks that you bought then? Ben B-Jam, he says, I'm in my first year studying tarot, enjoying the beginning journey so much. So me and Ben chat away, and you would never guess that Ben had just been looking at it for a year. Ben's his insights are really, really good, so they are. And if I had to guess, I would never have thought he was only looking at it for a year. There you go.
And Opal Owl just started in November 2019, so we got some new people. Mendy goes, no, we don't generally put alcohol on our baby's private parts.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Masha says the 2 decks that she got were Centennial in a Tin and Russian Tarot of St. Petersburg. Still loves them. So Masha, do you like the in a tin tarots tend to be quite small, don't they? So do you like your cards to be quite small, or are you not fussy about the size of tarot cards?
I think she said she does because she has smaller hands. But I'm surprised. I wonder when she switched over to Marseille, because that's her big thing now. So it's not, I don't know if she's so much into the pictorial stuff as much as she once was. Opal Owl started her channel around the same time she started with tarot. Masha adores cards smaller. Yes, tiny hands, she says. I don't think my hands are that tiny. Mine are pretty big, but I still have trouble with those humongous big decks. I don't like oracle cards for that reason. And you don't find a lot of oracle decks that are smaller size or regular tarot size.
I know. I mean, you've got to think, see people that do make cards that are absolutely giant, unless they're making them with the intention of people trimming them down, you've got to wonder how are people supposed to shuffle them? You almost want them to put a wee bit in the little white book about, what is the artist's intention when it comes to shuffling these buggers. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes there's just, unless you kind of do this business, shuffle them like that, like portrait way rather than landscape, which I don't know, I find quite difficult doing.
I can see some point where the artwork is so detailed or complicated you need a bigger card to see it, but then it seems like it's not worth it. And a lot of times even they put such big thick borders on them that it makes it even larger. So like, why put those big borders on? Hey, Sandra's here, and Jen from Jen's Balanced Tarot just popped in. Welcome.
Hi, Sandra. And everyone else, sorry. I didn't mean to single out Sandra there.
Good to see everybody. Let's see, what else can we talk about card-wise? I was actually gonna, this is not only my first StreamYard time, but I'm actually it's gonna be my first reading for strangers time too. So we're gonna do that in a little bit, I think. So think up some questions, but don't submit them yet. And when you do, put them in all caps. And I'm not sure how we're going to do it. I think we're going to take 5 questions at a time. And then after we've done the 5, see whether we want to do more or not. But
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that, if Chris is going to like catch them. And hey, Simon and Essence and Sophie Moon. Boy, everybody's coming in now.
I know. I feel all starstruck, actually. You've got people like Simon and Jen and all that who I've been watching for ages. I feel as though we've got some royalty in the room.
Hey, chaps, Simon says. Neem. It's Neem. Oh, yeah.
As well.
I always forget Essence's name. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember what somebody's name is from their channel name.
Yeah, it takes me a while to work it out because unless someone says in the chat and I happen to catch it, Essence, your name is Neem, then I've just got to kind of work it out from people saying hi Neem, and I'm like, who are they talking to? And then you've kind of got to look at the responses and see. But yeah, I worked that one out quite recently as well.
I always get Menti mixed up too, Artistry of Tarot, because there's somebody else that has a 3-1, like 3-word one with tarot like that. And I can't remember who it is, but it's somebody else, and I never remember if it's Menti or not. Okay.
See, whilst you're looking at the comments, Robin, I'm going to go and turn a light on because I feel as though it's getting really dark in here.
Sure. I think my storm passed here. Keep my fingers crossed. I thought maybe I was going to like lose power because we had a really loud thunderstorm here, but it didn't come close enough to crack right outside my window. It seems to have passed over, so I can hear distant thunder. So I keep my fingers crossed that it's still doing that.
There's a couple of people that have said about my accent. Thank you very much, Sandra, and whoever it was that said it further up the chat. I'm trying to speak slowly because I always say this, I know. I'm conscious that if I speak too quickly, I become quite hard to understand, so I'm trying to keep the strong Scottish accent under wraps, if you know what I mean.
I love your accent, Chris, although sometimes I do have to like really like listen to make sure I got you. Hey, Moon Baby, Brent, welcome.
Usually when I'm reading, I can kind of get on a bit of a roll and I can start speaking really quickly and I catch myself doing it. So you'll hear me changing volumes when I'm doing readings because, so Robin, you were wanting to kind of touch on the idea of majors only decks as well, weren't you? Or were you? Have I just made that up?
Well, yeah, I'm curious about that. This is going to be another. We'll have 3 experiments today: the StreamYard, the co-host guest, the reading for people, and also when we do our readings, I'm curious to see how my majors only deck does for the readings in conjunction with your full tarot decks, and if it's not working for me, I'll switch to a full one. But I think I'm gonna be okay with it.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, well, at some point, there's 2 discussions I want to have at some point, but I think they're geared towards different audiences. One, I want to have a discussion with deck creators. If I could ever get enough deck creators alone in a room to have the chat to see what kind of insights they came up with during and after the creation of their decks, because I kind of feel like, my understanding is during the Order of the Golden Dawn, everybody had to create their own deck, and I just kind of feel like all tarot readers should attempt that because it's revealing an insightful process, the creation of a deck. Even if you flounder and flaw and fuck up, it's still a discovery process and you learn things by doing it. I think it's a really good thing to do. Melissa says there's a whole Facebook group for deck creators. Melissa, send me a link in Facebook in a private message. I'm going to check that out. The other thing is I want to go do a conversation with people about majors only decks versus full decks, and in particular, majors only versus Marseille decks or Pip decks, because I feel like Marseille and Pip decks have a kind of a natural divide in them, whereas a lot of RWS decks tend not to do that. The whole deck is pictorial. So, I mean, somewhere in your subconscious, there is this notion that there are majors and minors and courts, but I don't think that you read them that way at first glance. I don't think you jump right to, oh, this is a majors card, or this is an element of this suit, or whatever. I think you probably go mostly from the pictures of the actions first, whereas in a Marseille deck, that's a much more obvious thing, I think, because you don't have those same pictures in the Pip cards, and so you automatically have to go to elemental elements and numerology, I suppose. But people that I know, there are a lot of people that don't like majors only decks, so I'm thinking, well, if you use Marseille, and it seems like it's already automatically set up to give more importance to the majors than the minors. And wouldn't it be easier for you to, I don't know, I'm rambling a bit now. I don't know if you're picking up on what I'm trying to say.
No, I get it. So you're picking up on the differences between, the major arcana and the minor arcana, and I'm interested in what the people in the chat, what your guys' thoughts are on that, because I know that, like you say, traditionally, the majors is the macrocosm, the minors is the microcosm. Oh, forgetting English there. So the majors are talking about major life events and stuff. So your majors are going to be talking about major turning points in your life, stuff that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Whereas your minors might be talking about perhaps the more mundane stuff, like, you're going to have an argument with Jimmy in work today. That kind of stuff, stuff that,
I know,
don't get me wrong, feels important at the time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's maybe not so much. So I know that's the way it's intended to be, but are we maybe, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm maybe falling away from that a wee bit. Sometimes I'll pick up on, majors and minors, and I'll make majors more important, but I think that as time goes on, we might be falling away from that, perhaps.
I think that's true. I think that's the plan. But I think with RWS decks, you tend to fall into the picture and sort of almost forget about major importance versus minor importance. I mean, I don't think about it. I mean, that's a secondary issue for me. It's not primary. I mean, I don't immediately think, okay, this card is more important because it's a major than a minor. That might come a little bit later on in the interpretation of the card. It's not the first thing to jump out at me. Whereas on a Marseille deck, it might more jump out at me. And I've always kind of felt like the pips in a Marseille deck are kind of like second-class citizens in a way. Because they almost feel like they're tossed off or cast off, because it's just it's like throwing sticks or bones or something. It's just this cluster of symbols rather than an image, and sometimes I feel like people are arbitrarily reading into the ornamentation on the card. You're like, oh, this flower, the way this curlicue is around the coins means this particular thing, or notice how this is divided here and this. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if when they originally did that, if they were really working hard at like trying to put across that symbolism, or if they were just being very ornamental in their artwork.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I think, to be honest, what you're saying about how people will tend to jump into the pictures first, I think that is, if we asked, a load of different people, that was probably a really individual thing. So for me personally, it depends how the cards fall. Sometimes, I'll read intuitively from the pictures, and that'll be the first thing that I do, and then I'll maybe have a wee think about the other aspects. Sometimes you know, if I pull, for example, I don't know if anyone is in the Cross Paths Facebook groups and you comment on Lucian's kind of practice readings things. So Lucian, what he's been doing is he's been posting, like, say, 3 cards, and he makes up an example scenario where, you know, I think it was like Heidi is wondering what is blocking her. So the 3 cards were the Devil, and there was 2 sevens. I think it was the 7 of Wands and the 7 of Cups. So I actually pulled. Actually, I'm talking rubbish now because to be fair, that was a pip deck that it was pulling from. But if the cards were to fall like that for me, then I might pick up on that sevens aspect first, you know, and look at the kind of numerological you know, pull from that first. So I think it really just depends on the type of reader you are and the type of things that you like to pull from. I saw, oh, we've got some birthday mentions, by the way. So Masha, I believe it's your birthday. So happy birthday, Masha.
Yeah.
And Brant turned 30 a few days ago.
Yeah.
So I hope you had a great day, Brant. Happy birthday. Or belated happy birthday, I guess. But yeah, sorry, I digress.
Yeah, but I also
he wrote
noticed that
something
Masha reads a lot with majors only, and we don't have. It's funny in this community. I don't know if we have any people in the community from Europe, because I understand that majors only reading is like really prevalent or predominant or very common in Europe, whereas all the people from the UK don't really seem to be part of that school of thought. And I don't think it doesn't seem to be that way in the States either, I don't think. But well, I just saw something from Brant, if I can find it, where he said, I tend to think of all the cards having equal importance.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not saying they're not equally important, but God, what am I saying?
I think Brant had said that in response when I asked, when I was talking about us moving towards looking at them all as being equal rather than looking at the, you know, the majors as being the big pay attention to me cards and the minors as maybe being more mundane. When I was talking about that, I think that was when Brant said I kind of look at them all as being equal. And I think Simon has also responded and said, yeah, Brant, lots of life's little lessons can make up a major lesson. I don't think that was actually the comment that I saw.
Oh, here he says, exactly, the little lessons can sometimes be more important than the major lesson.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that, because I think sometimes, and again, it just depends on how the cards fall. Because I think in a previous chat that when we had in a popcorn party, and again, Robin, I think it might have been you that asked me this, but it was like, what do you tend to pay attention more to, major arcana cards that fall? I think it depends. Sometimes I'll hone in on a major card and read the other cards round about it, but sometimes, you know, sometimes those minor arcana events can be really kind of, they can be the thing that the person needs to hear, you know? So I think it really depends on how the cards fall, as to how you interpret that reading.
I suspect in a lot of readings that the minors are maybe more important than the majors, because a lot of people ask about the here and now, like stuff that's going on in their situation this week or this month, you know, which would be focused more on a daily situation than a lifelong lesson or a total change in their way of thinking or something. I'm going to jump back, something I forgot to ask earlier when we were talking about shuffling. If you have any thoughts about jumpers, working with, do you get jumpers and do you ignore them and just shove them back in the deck, or do you think, oh, that's significant because it popped right out of the deck? I used to do that. You said, when do you stop shuffling? I used to shuffle until I got a jumper, you know, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And then sometimes you get more than one of them jump out of the deck.
Yeah, to be honest, I tend to just put them back, if I'm totally honest. I'm not like, you know, one of these master casino shufflers who never has a card out of place. I'm going to have shufflers. I won't. Maybe I'll just blame Jen for that, because everyone seems to be blaming Jen's Balance Tarot for their jumpers these days, for their dropsies. But yeah, no, I mean, sometimes, very rarely, if I'll get a feeling like that card just wanted to be out. Sometimes I'll use it, you know. But in general, no, I don't tend to put a lot of importance in jumpers. I think you
Well,
can tell. You get a feeling, don't you?
I used to really feel like jumpers were saying, me, you're ignoring me. Read me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I do tend to look at what's jumped out, unless it's like a big clump of cards. Then I know that's just me being a clumsy shit.
Yeah.
But if it's one card that's jumped out, I'll look at it, but I won't always necessarily, you know, I won't always necessarily lay it out and read with it. Hi, Sophie.
We've got some interesting comments coming here. Essence, Neem says, majors, oh, you're going to notice this, the minors, you should pay attention because it can affect or influence a major change. Majors, the big pow, minors, the tap on the shoulder. Yeah. Brant says, did you say you're taking a playing card reading class sometime soon? So I'm going to message you about it because I'd love to take that class. You ever read with playing cards, Chris?
No, I can't say I have. I think if I was to do it, I would probably just be translating back into tarot cards, which
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really what you're meant to do. So if I was going to do it, I would probably want to look it up. Maybe someone in the comments can say, because I know that some of you guys are quite into reading with playing cards. But is it essentially just like kind of like a Marseille type thing when you're drawing on the numerology and the elements, or is it a wee bit different from that?
Yeah, I noticed that when people do read Marseille that are generally RWS readers, that a lot of times they tend to just translate back to what it is in RWS. And so I think Simon or somebody was doing, I read out of a book the other day for a playing card deck reading, and the number significance, I think it was the 3 or the 4, was so different than the way we read the 3 or 4 in the RWS that I thought, no, this is just going to muddle my brain. You know, like having these are not these do. I need a common ground. You know, I don't want to start diverging and reading totally different systems where a 3 means one thing in one kind of deck or system, and it means something totally different and unrelated in a totally different system. I don't think my brain can handle that.
Yeah. Sometimes, though, what I will say is when you're used to it enough one way, you know, the way that you're used to, if you're happy enough with that and you're comfortable enough with that, sometimes it can be interesting to dip your toe into, like, for example, Marseille, you know, if you're used to Rider Waite, just to have something else to draw on, you know. So the deck that I tend to read with is the Light Seers, very kind of RWS kind of style. Sometimes it's useful just to have that kind of numerology knowledge and that elemental knowledge, you know, if I'm not picking up anything from the traditional meanings, or if the pictures aren't saying anything to me, you know, sometimes that kind of numerology that'll save the reading type thing. So I often think that it's useful to just have a wee bit of knowledge and everything.
Do you have any Marseille decks, Chris?
So I've got Triomphe de la Luna.
Oh yeah, right.
Which is Marseille, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just quickly browsing, having a look at the decks that I've got. I don't think I would say that any of the other ones are traditionally Marseille, or like traditional Marseille decks. I do have some Pip decks, but yeah, I've got the Egyptian Tarot. That's a more or less a Pip deck, although that's got hieroglyphics and stuff on it. So that's something that I'm really quite interested in looking into and finding out about, is the kind of Egyptian tarots, because I think they're a wee bit different again. So no, apart from that, the Triomphe, no, I don't have any other Marseille decks.
Should we try a reading?
Yeah, let's go for it.
I got a little thing I bought online here.
I thought that was a tarot deck you had pulled out. I was like, that's massive.
Oh, wouldn't it be fun to have cards this tall and skinny?
Who's he going to shuffle them?
I saw Simon's stepfather, I believe, yeah, made him a little card holding thing. And I thought, oh, I would love to have something like that. And I couldn't find one online. And then I did find this, but it's not really right. It's actually, this actually made to hold business cards. So the slots are too thick and the cards fall over. So I stuffed some plastic straws in here to kind of like help firm up the pockets. But because I don't have, an overhead camera kind of deal, if we do a 3-card spread, I want to be able to hold up the cards so people can see what the cards are that we're doing. So anybody want to toss a question for us into the chat so we can do a little reading?
Who wants to read reading? Give us a question. Otherwise, we'll pick someone at random and we'll just delve into your business, whether you like it or not. No, I'm only kidding on. We won't do that. How do you feel about third-party readings, Robin, by the way? What? Just out of interest, like if somebody was to put a question and say, right, my next door neighbours, I want you to tell me what's going on, I'm always hear them arguing. If someone was to ask like a third-party question, how do you feel about reading?
A lot of people don't like to do that, but since I'm totally new at this, I don't know if I'd be that picky about it. So, I mean, I'd probably toss it to you and take my cue from you. Opal Al wants a general reading.
A general reading guess for Opal, right, okay.
That's our starting place, I guess. So let me see. I should probably be using my larger cards, but I really love my little deck more than the big one.
Yeah.
This feels really, I think because there are less cards in the deck and it's a tiny deck, somehow it feels really more special to me.
Yeah.
So Opal.
Tea Queen's a way to make the dinner. Enjoy your dinner, Tea Queen.
Bye, Tea Queen. Well, I don't know. Oh, this isn't maybe going to work because I'm so far away that I don't think my camera's going to pick them up. So I might just have to tell you what they are. So the middle one, I always look at my 3-card spreads as, generally speaking, the center card is the center of the situation. So I don't know Opal Owl, but the center of this card is the devil. So that would lead me to think there's some element of temptation going on. I'm not sure what that temptation is. And on one side we have death, and the other side we have the Hanged Man. So both are sort of transitions of a point. Death is a more literal transition, and the Hanged Man is changing your perspective on things, which can lead to a transition. So I'm not really sure what Opal's dealing with at the moment, but maybe tempted by some sort of situation that she or he, I don't know if it's he or she, needs to leave in the past, or maybe is reluctant to leave behind, or is maybe dragging with her a little bit, and possibly needs to get some new perspective on where her stance is with that situation. But since it's just a general reading, I don't have any specifics on what the situation is. I don't know if I can say too much more than that at the moment.
Okay. It's interesting that you got the Hanged Man, Death, and the Devil. So 12, 13, and 15, because the centre card that I've pulled, and bearing in mind I'm reading with a full deck here, is Temperance, 14. So with that, we've got 12, 13, 14, and 15. So you've got a whole section of the majors sitting right there. I mean, I think that speaks volumes itself, doesn't it? It means like there's major shit going on right now for Opal. Um, and the advice, so temperance is kind of sitting in the advice kind of slot. So temperance for me is about, balance, making sure that you're kind of balancing out different aspects of your life. So I should probably say the first card that I got is the Ace of Wands. Okay, so it's that kind of new potential energy that's sitting around about you. It's that new potential for something that's going to light that spark. It's going to make you feel passionate again. Maybe in the past, and maybe the kind of the cards that you're pulling, Robin. Maybe Opal's feeling a wee bit kind of a wee bit shitty, not really sure what direction to go in, but the cards are really hopeful in that they're saying that there is going to be that new spark, there is going to be that new hope there, and it's going to really kind of light that fire under your butt and get you going kind of thing. Temperance being in the advice slot in the middle is really saying, get the balance right. It's not like you can just, up and leave everything else behind. It's not that type of situation. You're not completely walking away from everything that you're doing right now. It's more about building on what you've got. So what you need to kind of really try and do is balance what's already there, because you're already doing some amazing stuff. All right. So balance what you're already doing, but bring in those new aspects. All right. So temperance is all about balancing those opposite kind of elements, if you will. And in particular in this card, I think it looks as though he's got the sun in one hand and the moon in the other. All right. So you can think about that as being, the masculine and the feminine, or the sun and the moon, passive and active. The point is, there's opposite elements you're going to have to bring into play, and you're going to have to kind of bring them together in such a way that it powers you forwards rather than kind of halts you. And then you've got the Page of Cups as your kind of outcome card, if you want to look at it like that. So the Page of Cups, it's all about that kind of new feeling of being really kind of inspired, of being able to connect with people on an emotional level. All right, so I'm feeling that whatever it is that you want to do, Opal, it is going to involve kind of connecting with people. That Ace of Wands is telling you you're going to get that spark that's going to power you, and the Page of Cups is really promising as well, because that's all about new energy as well. So that is looking really positive. I know that, Robin, your kind of cards were all about, change is going to happen and taking a new perspective. So yeah, no, that's actually looking like a pretty nice reading. Opal, let us know whether that resonates,
Actually,
how you feel.
I'm interested. Opal says here, interesting, and yes, major crap is going on. And I want to ask her if she's open to it. Could she provide us with just a little bit more information, if she's willing? In the meantime, and Marcia has a question. Marcia, put your question on hold for just a minute. So in the meantime, while Opal is maybe or maybe not going to give us more information, I wanted to ask you about this idea of my 3 cards and your 3 cards and combining the two. Does that now turn it into a 6-card spread? Because I think that's sort of interesting that you're sort of pulling some of my cards into your reading. And I mean, I could probably do the same. It's like I picked up on the Ace of Wands thing. Yeah, it's like the beginning of some event that's making a move, an inspirational move of some sort, Yep. What did you say? And temperance, I get that. Temperance kind of works with me with both the duality and the devil, the 2 figures and the hands, but also the perspective of the hanged man, they're sort of like weighing out kind of two views of a situation or 2 sides of a situation. But what was the other one? The cup? What was the cup?
The Page of Cups.
Page of Cups.
Yeah.
See, now I always
kind of got his head in the clouds. He's a bit of a dreamer, the Page of Cups, isn't he? I actually really identify with the Page of Cups a lot, because he's got his head up his arse a lot of the time, and he can be quite overly sensitive, which I know is one of my flaws that I need to work on. So yeah, that's the Page of Cups for you.
I think we discussed the other day in a private chat how I always read the pages as like message bringers. Like if you page somebody, they're bringing you a message. So for me, I guess I would have to read that page as somebody is bringing me some message about my emotions. So there's an emotional aspect to the situation. And I guess she says there's major crap going on. So I don't know. I'm guessing, again, that, let's see.
She's followed up. So Opal said, I took a break from YouTube from dealing with drama.
Okay.
It makes sense, guys. So, yeah. So I suppose that it's quite positive in that it's saying that you're going to get your spark back. What I'm interested in actually, and I just thought about whilst you were speaking there, Robin, we've got all the way through from Hanged Man to Devil, Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, Devil, but Hanged Man kind of came last, didn't it? So if the Hanged Man is last in the sequence, is that maybe a wee, maybe you're going to have to take a couple of steps back the way, you know, if it's not going in sequential order, then is that maybe right? Okay, well maybe we need to take a few steps back. There's maybe one of the earlier lessons that we might have glossed over and not quite picked up on, that we maybe need to go back and relearn. And the Hanged Man is an important one because it's all about, it's that different perspective, isn't it? It's it's for me, the Hanged Man. I think we were talking about this the other day, Robin. It's about traditionally the whole point in the Hanged Man is that the holy men would hang themselves upside down, and it was all about pushing their body to the brink, pushing their body to the edge. And what it would do was give them a whole new perspective. You've got all the blood rushing to your head, and it makes you see things in a whole completely new way, and really gave them that spiritual enlightenment that they were looking for. And I kind of liken it to, you get like shamanistic vision quests and things like that. So Hanged Man. So that for me is Hanged Man. It's about really taking a different perspective and trying to see things in a whole new way. So yeah.
Well, we also had a discussion the other day about linear progressions, because I said that I have this sense of the universe and the cosmos not necessarily reading left to right or past, present, future, that somehow that's a human construction. Time is a human construction. Yeah. So, I mean, when I looked at these three cards, I sort of looked at them like past, present, and future in my head. But I don't know that that's necessarily the case. But it's interesting that you read the sequence from 12 to 15 as a numerical sequence in a certain direction. Yeah. But I like your insight about having to maybe take steps back to deal with the Hanged Man energy.
Yeah, and you can do that with like suits as well. So if you pull three cards and you've got like, I don't know, a 7, an 8, and then a 5, then that might be, if you pick up on that, that might be a wee message, right? Okay, there's an earlier lesson that we've not quite grasped. We maybe need to take a few steps back and think about that again.
Just wait. You said something about 6? When you said, I don't know, you mentioned the word 6, and I thought when I heard 6, it made me think, okay, what card is number 6? Number 6 is the Lover's card, right?
Right. I don't think I said 6. I was saying random numbers, and I said 7, 8, 5. I was saying that if you were to, for example, draw the 7 of something, the 8 of something, and then the 5 pops out, and it's like, well, it went from 7 to 8, and then all of a sudden we're taking a step back. So I'm saying even if it's like suits, you can draw on that, and you can say, right, okay, well, that might be a sign that we need to take a step back. We need to go back a few steps. And really think about that 5, because that's maybe something that we had the opportunity to do earlier on, but we've not quite grasped it. We've not quite done it.
Another reader that I followed recently said that anything that comes up during a reading can be part of the reading, even if it's not in the cards. Like, there's thunder outside my window. Well, that impacts this reading. If I hear thunder, that becomes part of this draw or this reading if I pick up on it, which goes very well for her question, this thunder, this, turmoil there. But I was going to say, when somehow I heard 6 and I thought, 6, what card is 6? It's the Lovers. Well, the Lovers isn't always about a couple. It's about a relationship between two people too, and choices. And so that may be part of, there's 6 cards in this reading. If you combine the 2 or 2 threes, well, threes, now you got me thinking about the Empress. So if you combine the 2 threes, you've got the Lovers. So now we have the Empress. I'm really going off on a tangent. The Empress, which is this nurturing feeling, and the Lovers, this sort of pairing, or this working with in partnership with other people. Both of those things can relate to her question about community, I think. So, I mean, we've just added in more cards or more elements, but it's interesting how even something like that can relate to this question or this query.
Yeah, definitely. The chat seems to stopped for a wee bit, but Opal's just commented saying that makes sense, relationships. So I was actually worried that there was something. Oh no, there is still chat happening. Cool.
I see the last comment from Jen, so I don't know on Facebook, I mean on YouTube, if they're further along or not than that. But
there's a couple more. So we've got Sophie saying, I sometimes pick up on the atmosphere during a reading. A lot of the time it connects with the reading. So that's what, Robin, you were talking about with thunder and stuff. And then we've got Ben had said, Robin, and oh gosh, Yoav Bendov's book, he says everything within the reading space is a sign to be considered in the reading. Masha, I was just listening and loving hearing your insight. Oh, thank you very much, Masha. Well, wait, are you wanting to have a look at, I think Masha asked a question. Are you wanting to have a look at that?
She has a question. Oops, just jumped. I have a question. What energy shall I take with into my new year around the sun? I'm not sure if I follow what she means by that, but I guess I should start.
Some people call like a year like the journey around the sun. It takes the Earth a year to get around the sun, doesn't it? So maybe that's. No, wait, am I talking rubbish?
Well, and she's in Australia, so it's like winter there now, right? So, I mean, I'm not sure how that's affected by the year. Is this the start of her year, or does she mean January, or just the whole year from here on out? I don't quite know, but we'll see.
Oh, it was because it's her birthday. Of course it is. We said happy birthday to her earlier on. So that, it takes the planet a year to rotate the sun, and it takes it a day to actually rotate on its own axis. So just to... So yeah, she's asking about her year because it's her birthday, of course. So sorry, Masha. So what energies are you taking into your new kind of year? Opal's going to go just now. So bye, Opal. Thanks very much for humouring us and letting us read for you. That was good of you.
If you're ready, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I'm just having a wee think just now about the cards that I've pulled. So I've pulled, Masha, I've pulled the King of Wands. Very handsome King of Wands, I might add. The Ace of Wands. And I've got the Nine of Pentacles. Okay. So it's interesting. We were talking about the King of Wands a couple of weeks ago in Tarot Playdate, if Jen's still here, weren't we? King of Wands, you know, he's got that kind of controlling factor. The Kings are all about seeing the bigger picture and really managing a situation to make sure that everything is kind of happening as it should. But when you think about Wands, you don't really kind of tend to associate that with, I suppose, fire element. You need to keep fire under control. So it's quite an important kind of position. But I always think of the King of Wands, like in the kind of traditional Rider-Waite deck, he's like kind of sitting forward. Jen's listening while she works. So I really got a lot out of that. So I'm going to kind of draw on that, Jen, if that's okay. So in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, the King of Wands is kind of sitting forward in his seat. It's almost like he's dying to be a part of the action. You know, the King of Wands doesn't like the fact that he's a king and he's got to kind of be that kind of authority figure who maybe doesn't get into the action as much. The King of Wands is really wanting to get in there and really do that. So, Masha, what I'm picking up from that is that you're maybe wanting to kind of get in and get your hands started. There's something that you're wanting to get in and really kind of get in and about, and you're maybe not quite so happy to just kind of sit back and watch the year go. And to be honest, after the kind of the corona apocalypse, as I keep calling it, situation that we're all going through, I think we all feel a wee bit like that, don't we? We all feel as though we've been sitting idle for so long. No one wants to be sitting on their backside anymore. We all want to get up. We want to be kind of doing stuff, taking action on things. We're fed up sitting about, okay? And what's good is the next card is the Ace of Wands. Now, Masha, you'll have heard me saying earlier on, when I put cards back into the deck, I put them in random places throughout the deck. So the fact that this has come out, it's not because I've not shuffled it properly or anything. It's because this was meant to come out for you. So the next part of the story is the Ace of Wands. So we've gone from the King, which is the end of the Wands, all the way back to the Ace, which is the start. So the answer is, yeah, you're going to get the opportunity to do that. You're not going to be sitting idle any longer. It's all go from here. All right, it's going to let you get that kind of animus, that passion, that spark back in your life, and you're really going to feel excited about it. And as the kind of outcome card, we've got the Nine of Pentacles. And I mean, what you could barely ask for a better outcome card, could you? Because the Nine of Pentacles, it's all about enjoying your hard work. It's about really kind of, it's been in a position of affluence, isn't it? It's being able to kind of enjoy the money that you've made, kind of thing. Maybe money isn't the right word, because the Pentacles aren't necessarily all about money. But whatever this kind of new thing, this new venture that you're going out on, you're really going to be able to reap the benefits in a kind of material way. So whether we're looking at house, money, health, all that stuff that we associate with the Pentacles that keeps us safe and makes us feel secure, you're really kind of you're going to be able to enjoy that. So yeah, you go get them, because that's that's what I'm seeing here. So, Robin, sorry, I'm conscious that I was going on and on and on there. So
No, it's fine. I actually switched to my larger cards to see if they're more easy to see. And okay. I did want to mention, I'm using the deck without the titles on them, because this is something else we didn't discuss with my deck. I tend to read images more than I read like keywords and so forth. And I think sometimes, even in a regular RWS deck, when you have a title on it, it instantly imposes that framework on it. So, I mean, for instance, the center card in this one happens to be the High Priestess. But you can read it as an image, or you can immediately jump to, what does the High Priestess mean, And so I kind of like not having those on there, because in some ways it removes a layer of definition from me that's automatically there, and I don't think about it like up front. But these are the three cards, and it's interesting because this has an extra card. This is majors only, but in my deck I included the nameless, or the questioning card. So in the central position, we have the High Priestess looking forward, and in the first position, we have the open face looking forward. Now, both of those are very inquisitive cards in terms of studying and learning and investigating. And so I think there's going to be a lot of that in her coming year, working on investigating new things. However, this one you might need to help me on a little bit, Chris. In the third position, we have the Emperor. And so he's looking the other way. He's looking back. So I don't know if my initial impression is they're looking forward and wanting to move forward, and he's basically saying, stop. And I don't know if that's because of that little X sign there, that little cross, or if it's his stance, or that he's like got his back up against a chair and he's looking their direction. But there's something that's kind of a pause, or maybe something of a more stable issue that's putting a pause or keeping her from fully embracing the investigations moving forward. I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on that, Emperor. I'm going to let you take a stab at that.
What I would say is, right, it's always good to kind of draw on what way people are facing, but don't forget that although you might be facing one direction, you can still move backwards. You can still kind of move back in the other direction. Just because you're facing a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that that's your whole focus, where your whole focus is. So it's interesting if you just look at the pictures on those cards, because you've got your questioner card. So we're asking the question at the start. We've got the High Priestess coming in, and the High Priestess doesn't like to tell us much. High Priestess is very mysterious. She encourages us to listen to our intuition and really kind of go within. And the High Priestess is kind of her main tool is silence, as it were. And then it's almost as if the Emperor's turning around and saying to the High Priestess, right, come on now. If you actually look at how they're facing each other, the Emperor's actually, you can see him saying to the High Priestess, right, come on, it's all very well to listen to your intuition. It's important that we do that. And it's funny because I had a conversation at the weekend with someone, and it was about, when we read tarot, we like to kind of emphasize the importance of your subconscious and your intuition and all that kind of thing. It's equally important to use those five senses to do that analytical process. Yeah, and tarot we like to focus on the intuition, because that's what this is all about. It is a very kind of intuitive process, but bringing in that conscious mind is really, really important. The subject matter that I was talking to someone about was anxiety, and I don't really, I'm not very knowledgeable, and I don't want to portray the idea like I'm very knowledgeable about anxiety. But what we were saying is that a lot of anxiety comes from your unconscious. Your unconscious is designed to protect you from danger, and that's where a lot of your fears come from. And a lot of the time, unless you're engaging that conscious mind, that analytical process, your unconscious can run away with you, and that can cause people anxiety. That's where a lot of anxiety can come from. So the Emperor's turning around and saying to your High Priestess there, it's just, we need to be analytical here as well. We need to have structure. It's important to have that guidance. It's important to have that guidance. So it looks to me like them two are having a conversation, and maybe it's all the kind of the process that Masha's going to have to go through is balancing out, listening to our subconscious, our intuitive mind, but also engaging that analytical process, because that's just as important. It keeps us grounded, and it kind of keeps our feet in the ground, which is the same as grounded. That's very good, Chris. But yeah, it's good for keeping you stable. So that's how I would read that. Looking at the pictures.
I like your idea about stability, but you've also given me a new thing to think about, because I was almost reading the Emperor as basically saying, stop, don't go any further. And somehow I picked up during your talking about it that he's doing the opposite, that he's like encouraging her and drawing her out of herself and not be so internalized and so introspective, but open up a little bit more and explore more, like, come on, as opposed to like, stay there or don't go too far ahead, stick with stability. Come on, like you're already stuck between those two poles, like step out and move forward, come to me, let's go ahead, So I don't know.
Masha's put a comment saying, yes, balancing the yin and yang energies, not just getting stuck in my yin, which is the High Priestessy place where she's very comfortable. So maybe that's what the Emperor's doing. He's kind of coming in and saying to you, it's excellent to have good intuition and to listen to that intuition, but let's not let your subconscious run away with you. Let's just engage that conscious mind a bit. Let's make sure that we've got the foundations right, and we're actually building something that we can then proceed on, and build the year out of. So Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's all looking really positive.
Yeah.
Again, it's a really positive reading that we both seem to have pulled there. So,
Yeah. Masha says, get unstuck and step out. Perfect. I need that. So does anybody else have a question that we can try for them? Sophie's heading out. Simon had to go to bed, and I don't
yeah,
know
half
where
5.
people are dropping like flies.
Are they?
Well, we've been an hour and a half. It's not too bad for a first outing like that. But if we have any more, I wouldn't mind, a couple more. But I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody else has any.
We can give it a few minutes and see if we get any questions coming forward. But how interested? How are you finding reading with the majors only? Because to be honest, I can't say that I'm noticing that you've got 56 cards not there that I've got. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like looking at the stuff that you're pulling and thinking it feels like something's missing. It just all seems to
Yeah.
be reading really fluent to me anyway.
Well,
So it seems to be working quite well. What are your thoughts?
that's the experience I've been having just reading from my own the last few weeks since my deck came. I've been very comfortable handling and shuffling them every day and reading with them off and on and not really feeling like there's anything missing. It feels like they cover everything. And for me, they're right on point because I'm more privy to more information than we're getting in these questions tonight,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I guess that's why I brought up the question, because it feels like I got all I need right here. It's like the magician with his 4 tools. And maybe I don't need any more than 22 cards. I got all I need right here in the 22 cards. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good then, because it is working quite well, I think. What do you guys in the chat think? Are what are your thoughts on majors only in general, and how do you feel like the readings are flowing?
Jen has to run. She's still working.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the rest of the work, Jen. I hope that it flies in, and thanks very much for popping in. It was lovely to see you here.
We still have Masha, Jackie, and is that it? Oh, yeah. Did we lose? I think we might have lost Beecham. Is Beecham still there? Is he gone too?
Ben's just saying bye to Jen, so Ben's still here.
Oh, okay. And Brant, are you still there? Are you gone? So anybody else have a question for us to try? I mean, as a last resort, we could always try general readings for each other. I don't know if you feel too self-conscious about that or not.
What I will say is that I'm not the best at reading for myself, so I might need to kind of pretend that I'm reading for someone else. But
you could read for me, and I could read for you, as possibly.
Okay.
We could supply each other with insights on the readings, maybe. I don't know.
Right. Okay.
But I don't see anybody coming with questions. But let's see. Masha says, for me, beginning reading with trumps has been profound. I did mention before, so much so that I made a video for Simon's Tarot-thon on it. Jackie's just a newbie, so not good at questions. You can read for me.
So we read for Jackie then.
All right. So just a general for Jackie then.
So we can either do a general, or we can look at her kind of. She's saying she's a newbie. I'm assuming she means at tarot or like the kind of spiritual stuff in general.
Yeah.
So we can look at her spiritual path. Jackie, what would you prefer? Would you just prefer an all-round general, or to see what we pick up on, or do you want us to look at, look at your kind of spiritual path? Ben's got a dash as well. See you later, Ben.
Bye,
Thanks very
Ben.
much for
Thanks for coming by.
Jackie doesn't mind. Well, we'll just say general then, Rob, and we'll see what pops out.
Okay.
So general for Jackie.
Ooh. These are always ooh aha moments when the cards come up. Or usually Although I saw that happening with Lucian, and then he got like, a finger in the pie moment. With what's that doing there?
Yeah, I think we all get that sometimes, don't we? Are you wanting to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You can go.
Okay. Jackie, I've pulled the Ten of Wands, the Devil, and the Four of Wands for you. Okay. So if we're looking at situation, advice, and outcome, Ten of Wands, it's that kind of scunnered feeling. Scunnered might be a Scottish word. It means kind of feeling a bit bogged down, a bit fed up with how things have kind of been so far. It can be a sign that you're taking on too much and that you're maybe needing to, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, whatever the task is, you're maybe needing to break it down into bite-sized pieces in order to kind of achieve the best outcome. So you might feel just now as though you're kind of taking on a wee bit too much. And what's interesting is you've got the devil in the advice position. So I've been talking about this lately because I don't always read the devil as something negative. For me, the devil is about desire. That is the key word that I would associate with the devil. Now, people's desire to do things, you can use that energy in a really positive way, or you can use it in a really negative way. And what I mean by that is people have taken that devil energy in the past and used it to climb Mount Everest, or um, bring into play the Black Lives Matter movement. That started because that really mattered to someone and they had a real desire to have a positive impact. They took that energy and they used that to drive them. Okay, so devil energy can be used in a really positive way, and what I'm picking up here is the advice is to think about what you really want to achieve, think about your desires, and use that energy to really power you forward. Obviously, with the devil, we've got to be careful that we're not being manipulated. Okay, so if there's someone in the background who's maybe suggesting things to you, who's maybe saying, "Oh, well, you always wanted to do that, didn't you? Why don't you try that?" Or if it's in work, if there's like a kind of a management type position who's kind of egging you to go in one direction. When that devil energy's in play, we've always got to kind of stop and think, right, okay, is there someone who's maybe doing this for their own personal gain? They're egging me on to go in this direction. They're showing me it because they know that I want to achieve this particular thing, but they're not interested in me. They're interested in, their own personal gain. So that's always a question to have in the back of your mind when you're dealing with devil energy. But definitely as an advice, use that energy to your advantage. And if you do, we've got the good old Four of Wands. And of course, the good old Four of Wands is all about achievement. It's about kind of setting down those boundaries and actually being able to feel like you've achieved something. So, I mean, maybe a wee bit of a kind of tough time going on there, even with the kind of devil energy about us. But definitely the direction that it's going in is that Four of Wands. It's that feeling of achievement, and being able to kind of grow something that makes you feel really kind of happy and passionate. And obviously it's not the end of the journey that we're seeing. The four is only the four. You've still got 6 other cards to take you all the way up to the 10. Interestingly enough, we're starting with the 10 and then we're ending on the 4. So, Jackie, maybe what this is saying is that the particular thing that I was talking about at the start, the thing that you're doing right now, it's not so much that you're going to be doing something completely new and taking on a whole new passion. It's maybe just about taking that step back that me and Robin were talking about earlier on, and maybe going back a fair few stages, and maybe starting it again, but really bringing in that passion and that desire energy that the devil's going to have for you, and eliminating all those negative influences that might have made it a bit shit for us to the first time round. So yeah, I think that's what I'm seeing in these cards. Robin, what have you got?
Which 10 was that again?
It was the 10 of Wands. So we've got the 10 of Wands
Okay.
and the 4 of Wands, and then the devil's sitting in between them.
And the 10 was the last one. Okay.
No, the 10 was the first one, and then the 4. One. Yeah, so I know that I think the camera might flip, but the 10 came first, and then the devil was in between, and then I had the 4 as the kind of outcome type position.
Okay. In that way, I like the positioning of the 10 and the 4, because it goes from something sort of heavy, literally heavy, carrying all those wands, to something lighter and more organized and more structured with the 4. Yeah, I like that. Okay, now I'm probably reading possibly more into this than I should be, because I know just a little bit about Jackie. I know 2 things about her now. I know that she's a newbie because she said so, and I know that she's Elle's mom.
Yeah.
And so these are the 3 cards I have. I have the Hermit, the Empress, and the Moon. And now I'm reading that the Hermit and the Empress, for me, are both sort of like investigative beginnings. Well, he's sort of investigative, and she's sort of birthing the beginnings. So in terms of the newbie, those work for me. She's, if she's just starting to learn tarot or getting more into tarot, that Hermit makes total sense to me, to take her time, her solo time, to investigate tarot and discover and learn about it, and to give it some time to nurture that learning. Boy, I can't get the direction right. And then we have the Moon over here, and the Moon, for me, there's water at the bottom. So there's water at the foot of the path, and I always say that's like dipping your toe in the water. You're getting your feet wet. So as a newbie, she's getting her feet wet and ready to head down that path. But the path is divided by 2 sides of our psyche. One is a more domestic side, one is a wilder side. So there's those elements in terms of reasoning versus instinct, or study versus intuition. Those 2 things can play equal parts in her study along the path. And the Moon also is night and mystery. So, I mean, tarot is full of mystery for me. So it's kind of like evening investigation or something. It's something to do after dark or in the shadows, or, solo alone somewhere, as she's on her path. So I really like these 3 cards. But I've also got, I don't know if the middle ones, if there's some element here involved with her being mother to Elle, and also Elle is sort of mother to rats. Elle has these pet rats. So I don't know if that little baby is Elle, or if it's one of the rats in the household, or if it's her, about her nurturing her tarot investigation, or maybe a combination of those things. Maybe she has some feelings about her position as a newbie in relation to her daughter's investigations. I'm not sure, and that may come again to the 2 sides of this path. The mother-daughter thing. I'm not sure. So I don't know if any of that makes any sense. But you see you smiling, and I don't know what that means.
No, I was just thinking, gosh, on Jackie's behalf, I really hope that it's not one of the rats. No, I
it's
mean,
not necessarily in the belly. It could be like on her lap, I mean, she's not birthing a rat. I'm not saying that.
Jackie, do let us know if that resonated and what you thought. Yeah, I mean, the thing about you've got the Hermit on one side and you've got the Moon on the other, and they're very kind of esoteric, very kind of subconscious type cards. The Hermit is all about withdrawing and going within and finding answers within. That Moon card, that's like almost like exploring the subconscious. But then you've got the Empress in the middle, which is all about growth. But the Empress is about bringing things into physicality. So it's like, don't forget about the physical aspects. So if you were kind of reading that as being about Jackie's spiritual exploration or journey with tarot, so don't forget that it's fun to explore the different pictures and decks, and bring that physical aspect in, because that is important as well. It's not all about being all mysterious and being that high priestess who just withdraws with it. Oh, can't speak anymore. Goodness me. But you know what I'm saying? Think about the physical aspect as well, and remember to nurture your gift. The Empress is all about growth. That's that 3, isn't it?
Wait, when you say the physical aspect, are you talking about her exploration as a newbie or something completely different? I'm not sure what you mean by physical aspect.
So you can relate it to whatever you want. So I felt as though when you were reading there, you were kind of talking about her journey with tarot,
Yeah.
and certainly the cards that you pulled with that Hermit and the Moon, they kind of said that to me. So I'm relating the Empress to that as well. So the Empress, the gift of the Empress is about, bringing things into physical being. It's about taking that idea, it's been explored with the High Priestess, and then the Empress is the one that actually gives birth to it. So it's really thinking about the physical aspects. And as much as, we in this kind of type of area, we like to be intuitive and think about our subconscious and all that kind of thing. That's all great. Just the Empress in the middle. Think about the physicals as well. So experiment with different types of divination. Play with different cards. Have a look at them and see what images draw you out. That physical aspect.
The Empress is very earthy and grounded. So yeah, I get that. But it's interesting to me that that's the middle card. That the sort of this idea of earthy and being grounded is central to the issue of the other two of the investigation, the exploration. Yeah. So that kind of interests me. Oh, Lucian's back.
Yeah,
how'd the interview go? Oh, Jackie says they were both really on point. Wow, that's interesting.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, Jackie.
Says it was awkward at one point, slightly, but it went well.
Oh, Lucian said that. I thought you said Jackie said that. I was like, oh gosh, at what point was the reading?
No, Lucian said that.
Right.
So, maybe we should do a reading for Lucian. Does anybody else have a question?
Jackie said, as a family, we've been through difficult times with me bearing the load. My husband died recently, so I have new beginnings. So, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Jackie. And yeah, it's a really difficult time to go through. Things are coming together. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, that's interesting then, the Empress being the counterpart to the Emperor, because when you lose a spouse, then you sort of become the core of the household and the care provider and caregiver. And I mean, the Empress is sort of that to begin with, but now the Emperor is almost subsumed into the Empress as well when you lose a partner,
Yeah.
The tarot journey is time for me, she says.
Yeah, it's just all about taking your time. That's it, isn't it? So, does anyone else want a reading? If you do, then post as a wee question in capital letters, just so that it pops.
Yeah, I think it's 10 to 10 here. I mean, well, 10 to 10 there. So,
10 to 11.
11. Yeah. So I don't want to keep you too long. So I think we're winding down because we're coming up on 2 hours and we've lost most of the people anyway. But I've really enjoyed this. So if we could do one more question, if anybody has one, it'd be nice.
We may have lost people, but we've gained Lucian again. Lucian's worth 10 people. So, Lucy, if you've got a wee question for us, feel free to fire away. If not, that's fine. You're welcome, Jackie.
I know this is a really weird time for folks in the UK. I'm surprised that you were willing to do this at this hour, but I mean, over here we don't really turn in till 11 or later. But it seems like over there everybody turns in at 9 or 10 in the tarot community. I don't know.
Generally, I'll try and be asleep for, on the average day, maybe about 11 actually. The reason for that is because I start work at 6:30. So I'm early getting up. I'm kind of like Simon actually. I'll probably be up around 5:30, 6 o'clock-ish. So that's for me. That's why I try and get to bed early. But I mean, as a one-off, this is great. I'm loving this, and I would rather be up doing this.
Do a lot of jobs over there have such early hours as that?
No, I think we tend to traditionally be 9 to 5, although, as time's moving on, we're falling more towards flexible working, I think, especially in my company. In my company, they're great, and, I work basically 5/4, which is I work 4 days a week instead of 5. So I work my 40 hours a week over 4 days. So I'm off every Monday, so so yeah. But yeah, no, 9 to 5 tends to be the standard. Sorry.
I don't know if you mind me asking, what do you do? What kind of work do you do?
I work in insurance, so I do.
Oh, that's what my sister does too.
Right.
She's just going through that. She's been home. She had both her knees replaced about 3 months ago, so she's been on leave. But her time ran out. She was supposed to start again this week, but they closed the offices and everybody's been working from home. And so she's going to have to adjust to that. She doesn't have a computer, so they're going to have to send her one, and she's going to have to adjust to that. And but yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. No, Lucian, I don't think we're seeing a lot of your messages.
Oh, Lucian wants to know if he'll get this job, so shall we run with that?
Oh, yeah, let's finish up on that then, eh?
I was debating if I should switch decks, but I've been okay with this one so far.
Yeah, why not?
If I was going to switch, I'd switch to a more traditional RWS because I know the image is better than one of the other ones where I'm less familiar with the actions in the cards.
Robin, I've pulled 3 major arcana cards, so I'm interested in what you're going to pull even before I start reading.
Okay.
So,
Uh-oh. Oh. Interesting. Okay, I've got the Magician, the Death card, and Temperance.
Right. Interesting.
And so the Death card's in the middle, but these aren't necessarily in sequence. But I would say he was talking about getting the new job. If we do go in sequence moving forward, they're all looking ahead, starting with the Magician and mastering all the tools at hand, the Death card being that transition, and then the last card being Temperance. So, which I always have pop into my head, that little phrase, keep your temper. So I don't know that has anything to do with his job or his position, but I would say possibly keep your emotions on an even keel and keep patience about you with regards to this job. I think it's possibly a case of time will tell, but it looks like there is a change coming because of the Death card, and it looks like you used all your tools properly to make that change happen. So I suspect it's going to be a good thing, but try to maintain a little patience and keep in good temper about it. And I guess that's all I have to say there.
Cool. Okay. I've pulled the High Priestess, the Lovers, and the Hanged Man. So I'm maybe going to have to explain myself a wee bit here. So the Lovers, for me, the way I interpret the Lovers, so if you think about the Fool's journey, right, he's gone through, the 5 cards before the Lovers. The kind of Empress and the Emperor bring in that mother and father card, and then you've got the Hierophant, who's like the kind of teacher. So all along the way, there's expectations put on that fool, okay, on his journey. He's kind of he comes to a stage where he's well aware of what, you know, his figurative parents and, you know, society, the society around about him expects from him. The Lovers is that it's when he becomes a wee bit rebellious. It's when he steps outside of that realm of expectation, and that's why the Lovers is often for me seen as choice, because you're choosing between what's expected of you, the expectations that have been put on you by, you know, society, your parents, your family, your friends, whoever, and you're starting to rebel a wee bit. And quite a lot of the time, that rebellion, you know, if you think about an actual literal person's life, that rebellion comes for them at adolescence, when they start to feel attraction for other people and they make connections with other people outside the family, you know. So it's that kind of stepping outside of expectations. So to bring that back to what we're looking at for Lucian here, you know, you've kind of, obviously you're in a job just now. I kind of know a fair bit about Lucian, so I've got a fair bit of background information here. So obviously, like kind of the people within your current job, there's certain expectations, Lucian. I know that obviously you've kind of had words with your current boss about, you know, when you're going back and all that kind of thing. So obviously there's expectations, but I see you transcending those expectations and really stepping outside of that. The Hanged Man, again, taking in a new perspective, really kind of, I mean, let's be honest, a new job, it's a big change, you know, that's evident from Robin's death card. It's a big change in anyone's life. So you might feel as though you're pushing yourself a wee bit, and at times it might be stressful getting to know the different, you know, although you're still looking to do the same profession, getting to know those different expectations, I guess, from the new company. And oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh dear. Yeah, just kind of really getting to grips with, you know, how they do things and that. You're going to have to kind of take all that on, and that Temperance card that Robin's pulled again is really about like kind of balancing the skills that you've already got and the skills that you can bring to the job, but also kind of remembering that you're going to have to take on some stuff like their methods and their company policies and stuff like that. So that's all stuff to think about. And then we've got the High Priestess just sitting there, who's really irritating me because, to be honest, I don't know really. It's not as obvious to me how she fits into the picture. But knowing what I do know about Lucian, and the fact that he's maybe a bit just done with his current job. He's feeling a bit scunnered by it. There's that word again, scunnered. I'm going to get you all speaking fluent Scottish by the end of this live. But knowing that Lucian's feeling a bit scunnered, I feel as though the High Priestess is coming in there to say, do you know what, you're going to have your time back. You're going to be able to kind of have a wee bit of quiet time to yourself, really. You know, you're not going to have as much like put on you from everyone round about. The High Priestess is all about that silence and taking some calm time to yourself, to really kind of self-explore and really just be at peace. So
how do you spell that word?
Scunnered, Scunnered, Scunnered.
Scunnered.
Yeah. I think that it's a Scottish word, but it might not be.
What does that mean? Like scuttled or befuddled, or
Scunnered, it means fed up. It means you're pissed off. You can't be bothered anymore. You're at your the end of your tether with the situation. So yeah, that's scunnered. So yeah, the way that reading's going, and certainly the way that the fact that Robin pulled that clanging of a death card,
tell me
to me that there is change going to happen.
Tell me your 3 cards again.
We had the High Priestess,
right.
We had the Lovers, and we had the Hanged Man.
Okay.
So all different from yours, which is interesting. But
I see Lucian as the High Priestess because he's so at the moment into massively collecting decks and studying it. The what was the middle one again?
The Lovers.
The Lovers. That's for me. That's a partnership. So that's but but not. I don't think it's him and Dave. I think it's the partnership with the new business and maybe the old business too. And then the third one was what again? Temperance?
Hangman.
Oh, Hangman. Okay, so that's gaining new perspective on your relationship to the business partnership. So I see that there. It was funny. Masha said something back here. She said, "Death card. I see it as chopping hair off with their heads," as Camellia would say. which I thought was funny because when I saw the hangman, I thought, oh, maybe Lucian will hang them upside down to cut their hair. The gravity will help with the hair cutting. But anyway, I'm just being silly. I think Masha's leaving because it's 8 a.m. and she needs to get going, take her puppies for a walk. So Lucian, I don't know. Oh, he says it makes sense. Wahaha off with their hair. All right. So it's been 2 hours. So I mean, if people didn't already leave, I'm going to let them go, I think. And Chris, if you want to hang around for a minute after I close the broadcast, I think we can close up.
We'll be able to chat afterwards,
And so thank you, everybody, for stopping by, and everybody that stuck around. Thank you. And this was a fun new thing for me. And considering I hadn't done readings for other people before, I didn't think I did too horribly.
Not at all. I thought it was really good. And like I said, you know, you've been reading with a majors only deck, and I wasn't sure how that was going to meld in with me reading with a full deck, but it seems to have come together really well, I think. So, no, I thought it's been really great.
You know, it's funny. I used to worry about whether I was getting the right card in a reading and all that stuff. And I remember Kelly at Truth and Story said something during one of her lives that I wrote down, and now I won't be able to find the notebook for it probably, but I'll paraphrase her. It's basically every card in the deck has something to say about the particular situation you're inquiring about.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting because they do. There's sort of no wrong card. Your intuition will pick up on the elements from each card with relation to the question or the situation. So I no longer need to worry about, am I getting the wrong card? It's maybe more, am I getting the right information from the card I chose? You know, it's what I draw out of the card that I pull. So anyway, all right. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you all for coming by. I'll be back again, hopefully next month. I don't know if I can twist Chris's arm into joining me again, or if we might switch to a different time that's better. But I'll be posting about that between now and then. And so, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Chris, for doing this. And,
not at all. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Robin.
So bye, Jackie, Lucian, Masha, and anybody else that's still here. I don't see anybody else. So
yeah, bye,
so
everybody.
Long.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.